Hi, party people. This is Christian Kelly, and this is another Brightside podcast. That's what we came up with the name.
Yep.
I'm here with Scotland and Nick and Anonymous from last time.
Say hi, Anonymous.
Hello.
This time she says hello. Say hi, Nick. I mean, Scotland.
Hi, Scotland.
Aw, that's cute. All right. All right, guys. So how are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Oh, actually, you have the awesome cookie pamphlet with you, right?
I do. We'll get to that after. I mean, what were you gonna say before?
Nothing. I have nothing. Go ahead.
Just go for it.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, do whatever you were gonna say.
Okay. So if you listen to the last podcast, we discussed the best chocolate chip cookies in the world. And I don't remember how in depth we got with it, but we were saying how they were just really, really fucking good, right?
Well, I'm eating some right now, and they're
They're
pretty
alright.
decent. Yeah, they're alright.
They're all right. Yeah.
I was actually, I mean, they're good. They're better than the famous Amos.
yeah.
But I was expecting like regular size.
They're not regular size cookies. They're small. They're like.
Well, you didn't say that
bite-sized.
the last podcast. Anyway, go ahead.
I take no responsibility for your expectations that were based on nothing. But I mean, they're really cool. They come in a cardboard box, and the box has writing on every fucking corner. And when you open it on the inside, it comes with a pamphlet that says "Stop, read first," and there are instructions on how to eat the cookies.
As there should be.
As there should be. I guess you can open up these ones. That way, by the time I'm done reading this, they'll be almost ready. Or by the time we're done talking about it, they'll be ready to eat. They'll be ready for consumption. So, let me see.
Oh my god. Anyway.
I want to. Okay, so. Man, I was not.
And you squint, and you're wearing glasses.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that we were going to start with this. We had no plan going in.
Your whole thing was, I want to read this pamphlet, and now that I'm telling you to read the pamphlet, you can't read.
Okay, fuck it. I'm going to skip all the foofy shit. The one that I wanted to read that I thought would be a fun thing for us to talk about.
Okay.
Because it's the kind of shit that we always talk about. So it's semi-optional reading. This is the back pamphlet of the instructions that come with the cookie. So I guess it's saying that if you're down for the cause, just continue and read this. And the guy goes, "My name is Bart Greenhut. I am an inventor, entrepreneur, and have been blessed in life. These cookies are the high point of my career. We limit distribution wherever you find our cookies. There's someone who's worked to make them available for you. We are grateful and wouldn't be here without them." And then it gets blocked off with a giant red box and a lot of bold, underlined, and italicized letters. It's like this little paragraph, but it starts off with, "My apologies, but I have to say this. I think it's incredible that our banks, the same folks who caused our recent depression, are allowed to blatantly exploit us further. Now, they're allowed to burden us with billions of dollars in egregious overdraft fees on transactions that they themselves engineer to occur. They process debits, not in the order of receipt, but largest first, in a sneaky methodology to maximize egregious overdraft fees on as many small transactions as possible. But maybe it's just me. But I think this is brazen exploitation in the most un-American sense, especially because it more seriously affects those who are the most vulnerable. If any other business ripped off consumers on this level, they'd suffer consequences in a flash. We need a serious advocate, and our representatives need the backbone to stand up to the bank lobby. There, I said it."
Well, that's just rude and inconsiderate towards bankers.
think the overdraft fees are like some of the least worrisome things that bankers are responsible for.
But I think what he's saying is that on your bank history, like when they sort the order of things that happen, they start with the biggest transaction first, and they make it go down to the smallest transaction. So
that used to be it. That was that changed about 2 years ago, federally now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you're right. One of the biggest players that ever did that was Wells Fargo, and they got fined huge amounts of money because of that. And they were, of course, they settled out of court.
So instead of doing the transactions the way you did it chronologically, they would do the biggest first at the end of the month, so that
no.
overdraft.
So that by the time you overdrafted, instead of like the last giant chunk that you did overdrafted, you would overdraft little, like over and over again. You get multiple overdraft fees because.
So let's say in one day you did 5 transactions, or you had a bill pay, all right? You needed to pay some bills. There was one for $300, and then there was another one for $100, and then there were 3 transactions.
You went
grocery shopping. You had lunch at Quiznos, and you bought gas. Okay, and the smallest one was Quiznos. Let's say, not that I'm saying Quiznos is cheap. I'm just saying that it was the smallest transaction of the 5. Now in the 5 transactions, it doesn't matter. Like, let's say you went to Quiznos first, and then you paid several, like the $300 bill, and then you went got groceries, and then you paid a $100 bill, and then you got gas, right? Even though that might be what happened throughout the day, at the end of the day, the way they organize the debits and credits is that they're going to organize the largest transaction first, followed by the smaller one. So that, let's say you only have
$350.
$350.
That's exactly what I said.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
So
instead of doing your debits chronologically the way they happen on timeline, they take the biggest first so that they can give you overdraft fees the most. Like,
so multiple. So you get overdraft fees for every transaction beyond your limit. So there's more small transactions that happen go over again. Oh, yeah, you
got plenty of money. But transactions are all good, and then the last one goes over. But the last one they put at the first, so it takes all your money, and then the next 4 are all over.
It just basically it's a way where
an additional charge.
But that's
theoretically when you should have like maybe 2 overdraft fees. You end up with like 10, and you end up owing the bank like $400 of money you obviously don't fucking have because if you did, it'd be in the goddamn bank.
Well, I mean, also realize that did happen, and that was like I think Wells Fargo was like the biggest one to do that, and they were more
than Bank of America.
Bank of America was up there though.
Man, Bank of America is still bad, dude.
It's still pretty bad, but regulations have already come out where they can't do that anymore, and that the max overdraft fees that you can have in one day is 1. So before you could have an unlimited amount, and that's why there were so much like racking up.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I remember I was working at Wells Fargo, and I would see people in just one day, like they would get $100 worth of overdraft fees.
This is what I don't get. Why would you be able to charge your debit card if you don't have money? Shouldn't it just get declined?
Certainly.
Right? If there's no money in your account. No, because I had a regular checking account at Wells Fargo, and I used my debit card that day. And I didn't have money in the bank, but I didn't know it. This is a long time ago. And it just let me buy the thing. It let me buy it on debit. It let me buy gas or whatever, like at Arco or whatever. And
what they call it, and technically, because they took it to, from what I recall, they took it to the Supreme Court. I forgot what bank it was. And they said that it's illegal. They're allowed. Banks are allowed to give what they call a courtesy.
A courtesy would not be charging you all that fucking money.
It's considered like a courtesy. It's not considered credit. It's considered overdraft protection, which is not a credit line.
And they penalize you for it.
Exactly.
With money, which is a thing you don't have.
Now, there's some banks that it's changed up a bit since 08 and 07.
Yeah.
It's a lot more strict and there's a lot more regulation. today, what they do when you open up a bank account is they ask you, would you like overdraft protection, or would you like to connect your savings to your checking account? So they kind of like make it like an option for you.
Right.
Today, whenever I not that I open checking accounts every day, but since then I've opened some checking accounts, and like when they ask me that option, I'm like, no, like I don't want it.
Yeah.
I want it declined if there's no money there.
So what is the overdraft protection now? Because I know my bank was asking me like when they were changing it to pick like if I wanted it or not, and I don't think I ever picked, and now I just because I think I forgot one day, like it was the same thing, like my card wasn't being declined, it was letting the thing go through, and it was like they were almost giving me in advance because they would still take it away, but my check hadn't gone through, so they couldn't. It looked like it was
in transit.
Yeah, something like that, but like the money wasn't there.
So what happens is that banks are actually still allowed to give some kind of credit.
Right.
Overdraft protection. It's not credit.
Right.
It's like it's courtesy.
Backwards rhetorical bullshit. Yeah, we get
exactly.
it. We get it.
So back in the day, like 5 years ago, there was literally an unlimited amount, and that's how they knew they could rack you in with fees and stuff. Today, they usually just give up about $50 worth. So if you're doing like little small transactions, they'll let you still overdraft up to $50.
And just have a negative amount on your account balance.
Have just a negative amount of about $50, and then surpassing that amount, then they'll cut you off.
Right.
So,
but do they still charge you penalties for that?
They still can, but now they give you at least 24 hours to recover that.
Okay.
So it gives you 24 hours to at least.
So you better check your bank statement every day if you're broke.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, if you're just using, and it gets in that little gray area where it's, and I hate to be this guy that like, well, the banks, blah blah, like, I know.
Don't be that guy.
I know. I don't want to be that guy, but at the same time, this is your money.
Yeah.
And you should be clenching to your money and know how much you have and make the most of it. And you should.
Dude, it really depends though, because
I'm sorry. Like
if you have a little bit of money and like you go on wellsfargo.com and the last 2 days all of your shit's pending, and you don't know if the balance that is showing is the balance that you do have or the balance that you're gonna have after the pending orders go through.
Mm-hmm.
It says.
Because sometimes it's confusing.
No, it subtracts what's pending. It says like what you have, and then it subtracts what's pending, and then it says your actual amount.
Yeah, there's a difference between total balance or ledger balance and available balance.
Yeah.
And the ledger balance is what you have aside from what's pending and what's coming in and what hasn't cleared. And then the available balance is subtracting whatever is pending. I know. I come off like a dick.
Christian in no way lobbies banks.
I don't.
He just is employed by many of them.
Fuck you.
Banks paid for these microphones.
I'm just saying, like, and back me up a little bit, because you're a libertarian.
There's so much please in those eyes.
I know. But honestly, you should know what you have. You should be keeping track of your money. And money, I mean, you worked hard for that money.
Yeah. Then you just gave it away. You just gave it away.
But, I mean, people should be keeping track of it. Yeah. I mean, before the internet, up until the 80s, people used to have check registers and keeping track of all their transactions.
Yeah.
Today, I still keep like a digital check register
Really?
on my phone, on my iPhone. It's like a checkbook. So after swiping using my card for every transaction, I type in each and every transaction into
Oh wow, that's really smart.
Yeah, so well, Scotland knows I hold on to all my receipts, and then at the end of the day, I type in everything.
That's really good.
So I know
I should
it's
do that.
but most people just like, well, and they just swipe it.
Swipe.
Yeah.
That I really don't. I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle of that. Like I'm really responsible. I've never looked at credit as not being actual money. Like
Yeah.
I pay off my credit card every month,
Yeah, me too.
all of it. But I've never understood, man. Like I've never understood how people can just max out their credit cards and like not get that. Not only are you spending all of this money that you're swiping the credit card for, but you're agreeing to pay them back more money than you spent.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
And like I mean, and most of these people don't. They can't afford it, so they end up owing more money than they would have if they could have paid it off in the first place. Because when you pay like minimum amount due or whatever, like when you go to pay off your credit card, and you can either pay the amount due, you can pay off like a random number in the middle, or you could pay like a minimum amount balance. Like Wells Fargo usually for my card, it's like $15. Every month, I can pay $15 and keep using my credit card the next month without having to pay off all the fees.
Yeah.
And if you do that, your interest rate, not your rate, but your interest just grows and grows and grows, and you end up paying so much more money to them.
You actually, if you do the minimum, you'll never pay it off.
Ever, right?
Actually, you will.
No, you won't, because it'll keep growing.
The minimum is
Eventually,
it's
you'll
less than
max
the
out.
interest.
The minute, not anymore. It used to be like that. Until the credit card act of like 2009 or something like that.
He's making things.
No,
The Credit
it's
Card
true.
Act of 2009. That sounds made up.
Now in your credit card statement, it tells you, it tells you, if you pay the minimum balance, when you'll pay off the debt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you don't make any more purchases. And that was part of the Reform Act. And also, the minimum balance has to be more than the interest. So I mean...
2009?
Yeah,
It's
right.
changed. Huh.
Yeah, 2009, it changed that. So, in a way, that's good, but at the same time, it left out a lot of things. For example, it made the max amount of interest that one can have, it's somewhere around 30 to 35%.
That's a lot.
Which is still a lot of interest. And to be honest...
30%?
Yeah.
30% of $100,000 is $30,000. That's a lot of money.
I've never seen a credit card for $30,000.
I'm sorry.
I'm talking about credit cards.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So,
you're welcome.
$10,000?
Asshole.
That's still $3,000 of interest. That's a lot of money, man. For every $100, $30 can be the maximum interest.
Yeah, it's
That's
a
a
lot.
lot.
It's a lot. And I remember when I was working at Wells Fargo, because that was before the recession, and then all the other bank jobs that I've had were after, and so I saw all the reforms implemented. But at Wells Fargo, I remember like applying people for like 50% in interest,
God
45%
damn.
in interest.
Why? Because their credit sucked?
Yeah, basically. Well, yeah.
You know how fucking that dude? It's so fucking sad how credit follows you so much. You could fuck up once just by not being a responsible kid, and you're fucked for almost
You
life.
know what's really
It's ridiculous.
What's really sad is that
The trap.
because here's the problem is that, and I know all of a sudden this podcast became about finance and
Whatever,
credit.
man. It's probably better than Potato Podcast.
Fuck you. Anyway,
It's better than applesauce or pudding.
I know. But all right, so here's the thing: we're still young for the most part. I still think I'm young.
Fair enough.
But we still don't have, let's say, a really well. All right, I have a credit card and I have student loans, so I have some form of credit. but there's still people like our age that have no fucking credit history whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's hard for them to, like, let's say if they want to pull out a business loan and they want to have their own small business, it's tough for them to go to a bank or an investor and get a loan of any kind in order to start a business.
Uh-huh.
So one of the things that I forgot what legislators coming out, they're thinking of applying utility bills into your credit history.
Like utility bills that you actually pay off.
Well, yeah.
They don't include that in your credit history?
No. So like water and power, electricity and phone bill, they are not included into your credit history.
And it shows that you're financially responsible when you pay your bills.
True, but like you were just saying, one mistake in your credit history fucks you and follows you for life.
Yeah, dude.
So
one of my
imagine fucking up in your utility bill. Then
I
mean,
think
how
that
else are you, like, how
it
are
seems like the mentality in doing that though is more to help people than hurt people.
Yeah,
it seems like you're trying to give people more of a scapegoat. But I mean, if you're a real fuck up, then yeah, you know, or if like you're just in a really shitty situation, that's the thing that sucks the most though, is a lot of people are just in a really shitty financial situation for whatever reason, and it can really fuck you over for a long time.
Well, what if that leads to like utility bills charging you extra if you don't have good credit?
Oh, I'm sorry.
If utility bills are
It's
part of your
'cause-
credit now.
It's because Grace was there last time and you could barely hear Grace.
Maybe you can put it like in the middle more.
That's fine. I'll just sit here.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
I saw an article the other day that power rates have gone up 45% nationwide in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
They're shutting down all the coal power plants.
Man, all that shit is so depressing.
I don't trust coal. I don't think it's clean burning whatsoever. But you're right about electricity rates going up.
There's alternate sources of energy that we could be utilizing that would be a lot cheaper, be a lot more cost effective. But I mean, whatever. I'm sorry, I don't even want to get into all that right now.
No, but you touch on a good point, because I was talking to I was on my way to an underground rave, but I was talking to Paul
when the last podcast happened.
No, I was talking to Paul about this very thing because we were talking about why haven't we gone to like solar power and like more like hydropower and other types of forms of energy that obviously when you put it into like devices and homes and stuff like that, they're way more efficient than this huge conglomerate company producing this this infrastructure for us of electricity and power.
Right.
And because he kind of went for the nuclear, like we should be focusing on nuclear power. And I was kind of talking about, I was talking about how like there's flaws in nuclear power and like, you know, blah, blah. But eventually we just ended up in the conclusion that the reason why we're such in a stagnant thing is not, and I guess you can say it's kind of corruption, but also you have to think that like for instance West Virginia, Connecticut, all these places, they're not as flourishing and abundant with like jobs and other industries like we are in California. And so when your constituents and your legislator and your constituents depend on coal or fracking,
right,
or oil, and that takes the majority of the jobs in your state, to just say, well, fuck coal, you know, like let's go do solar. Like it's not convenient. It's not good for you. It's not good for your state, and you have to think about your constituents.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand that it's harder to progress in that direction because a lot of jobs are based on these older technologies. I mean, it was the same shit with slavery when they invented the cotton gin and things like that. You know, like better new
let's
technology.
Not compare, like the coal industry to slavery.
Yeah, because it's different. No, but what I'm trying to say is, it's you find a commodity, or you find a resource or you find a tool that's more resourceful. You know what I mean? You outsource. You find a human. A machine is. You can get a machine to do the job of like 50 humans because a machine can keep going. Machines don't need to sleep. Machines just need like, refurbishments and shit like that. And, in one way it's good.
I want some cookies.
But in one way, did you leave them open for 10 minutes?
Yeah, it's been like 20.
Yeah, it's been 20 minutes.
Awesome.
Come on. It's way over. Alright, go on.
It's cookie time.
Cookie time. Did I get a holiday?
You didn't get anything.
What kind of bullshit is that?
Well, that's kind of the problem also.
Well, it's good and bad because people are out of jobs.
Yeah. So I kind of think like, yeah, we should progress into this, but I guess there's like this capitalistic what's the term I'm thinking, like humanitarianism? I guess, where you should think about, okay, so we should progress into like solar power and all this stuff, but instead of getting machines to do this kind of work, I mean, create jobs. And because when they say, well, this industry is going to bring 70,000 jobs of sales, of tech support, customer service, and this and that sounds great, but how many jobs are you losing? You're losing roughly about 120,000 jobs. And it's sort of like, well, what the fuck?
We really need fucking jobs right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know, man. That's going to be a problem. Right now, I think there are a lot of things that are happening at the same time that are making it really, really hard. Right now, we're dealing with a big overpopulation problem. There's way too many fucking people here, man.
Like in Los Angeles or in the country?
In the country, in the world. We're overpopulating. No?
No.
Speaking to the mic.
No, yeah. I don't like that that argument. I hear that a lot. I think there's plenty for everyone. Where we're at right now, it just isn't divided equally. Not that it needs to be, but I heard a projection that said that by 2050 is when the world population is going to peak, and then it'll start to decline sharply.
How?
So it'll peak like around 10 billion.
Now, why was there a reason why it would decline?
Birth rates, just like judging from the demographics, the birth rates.
I thought. See, what I came to understand is like we've gotten so advanced in our medicinal technology that we've prevented people who would normally have died from whatever causes from dying. We've been able to accomplish keeping people alive for a lot longer than the normal human lifespan is. And we've also helped more people be born. We've prevented, a lot of issues with pregnancy or giving birth or fertility, things like that. Like, we've been able to accommodate more people coming into the world, and we've been able to accommodate more people staying in the world for longer. And I thought that was the main concern with overpopulation, was because now, while we're creating humans a lot faster than humans are dying. I thought that was, and I don't mean that just on an economic scale. I just mean that like on a global secular scale. I guess that it is economic, but not as an excuse for us running out of food or anything like that. Just in there's way more people than there ever were, and we're creating people faster than they're dying.
Well, there's like also a conflict as well, where, I mean, we're talking about. I agree, in some way,
right,
with Scotland, where I think if we really wanted to, we could totally
we could accommodate for everybody if people sacrificed.
But it is about, and this is where economics plays. It's the science of scarcity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, are we willing to pay one person $1 billion for being Mark Zuckerberg? Are we willing to, have just one country take up 26% of the world's food source?
Mm-hmm.
But also, are we willing to deforest countries in order to put acres of just farming one crop.
But I mean, what's the solution for getting the entire world to be one giant organization where everybody contributes and everybody? I mean, like, where they have to be some giant utopian, like, communistic society, which would be ideal. But I mean, is it like that? It's not gonna fucking happen.
Duh.
So I mean, what I'm trying to say is constructively, like, what is the best solution for what's happening right now? Are you saying that like everything's just gonna fall into play and it's not gonna be a big deal, or is it gonna be like we figure it out as it goes, or we have the potential of figuring out like an answer to this, or is it just gonna deal with it? Is it gonna fix itself? Is it something that we just don't have to worry about?
You know, I'm talking
like global warming, man.
I was talking to I was in class. I'm sorry, I wasn't talking to anybody. I was just listening. I was in class and I was listening to my professor, who's it's in my political science class, and we were talking about how and this is where I got all that stuff from that argument we had earlier. How liberalism, neoliberalism has and the ideology of modernism has really changed the rest of the world. And it's a new form of imperialism and colonialism where, well, I guess it would be considered neo-colonialism because it's these companies that go out and they take advantage of smaller countries that depend on the IMF and depend on debt in order to progress their country. And these countries come in and say, well, if you're going to take money, you also need to progress by putting yourself in the new global market. And by doing this, these huge conglomerate companies come in and they pretty much push out local businesses and local farms and local citizens, and they just reap up all the benefits and export the product, and the business itself collects all the money.
Okay.
And they pay barely any taxes in the country. And it's a way, I mean, for them, they say, well, we're giving you jobs. You know, we're giving you jobs.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. But he gave me a paper. I forgot where. I don't have it with me right now. But, well, I don't want to look for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the real... the whole thing is maybe we're in this whole world of globalization where everything is integrated with each other. It's particularly in modern countries, Europe, Japan, the United States, where we have these connections all over the world, and we are the ones that say what we should be doing. Or what they should be doing. I'm sorry, what the world should be like, and we're telling everybody else to progress to us.
Yeah, sounds about right.
You know, and maybe we should be stepping back a bit and let the other countries progress in their own way, and letting the other countries develop and find their own industries and businesses and things, so that they can export their own stuff and they can reap the benefits of that type of free market.
But we're the captain of the meddlers, man. We're the meddling team. We're the guys who run in there and fix people because it's not okay the way they're doing things right now. Like, we gotta make it better.
Yeah, we're good at that, right? But Vietnam,
yeah, Korea,
Iraq.
Oh well, they love us there.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. It's.
What do you have to say, Scotland? You look like you have a lot to say.
I know. I want to hear it.
I wanna hear what
I've been waiting.
I want to listen. Do I have, are you drinking my beer?
No. Somebody took your beer.
You never had a beer.
No. Give me another beer. So, what's your opinion on this, Scotland?
I'm not particularly.
Oh, is there a lot?
Well, I mean, yeah, the IMF and global corporations are totally screwing over countries. I don't think the answer is more integration. I think the answer is more independence. Like you were saying, like it's a healthy economy and a healthy nation needs the mom and pop stores, and they don't need all the the IMF debt and the giant corporations coming in and creating jobs. It's all bullshit. It doesn't help anyone other than the whatever the governor or statesman that they pay off, who does whatever they want for a few years and then moves to Switzerland for the rest of their life and lives in a haven
The tax haven
and totally sells out their countrymen and their nation, and they don't give a crap.
There's people. They sell out people in general, man. When all you give a fuck about is yourself, and power and all that bullshit that makes you feel like when you die, you're not just gonna stop existing forever, right? They just fuck over people.
That's who you find at the top of power structures are people who are obsessed every day with greed and power. Who else are going to be spending every waking moment of their lives trying to control everything?
And you know what's weird is that, my accounting professor actually said it. He knows people who make. No, I already got another one. Thanks. No, you can have that one.
That's fine, right?
What a dick. My accounting professor was saying, because he used to work he used to be a hedge fund manager. And he just left all of that and moved to California, got married here, whatever, blah blah. Anyway, he knows people, and he works with people still that are like millionaires, like hundreds, like over $100 million. They're racking in every year, and he talks about like penny pinching, like how they penny pinch on a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
or like how they're constantly like, whoa, no, like I don't want to pay any taxes, like, or like we should invest in this, we should buy out all of this and make more money. And
That's how they got all the money in the first place.
Exactly, they're obsessed with it. And he says, you make over $100 million. What's another $100 million to you?
But that's their mentality is, I've made millions, how about billions? And then billions, how about trillions?
See, but yeah, you're probably right. But that's
never enough.
But I mean, that is kind of the question. It's like when is enough?
For who?
Oh, sorry, you missed it. Like for rich people that make. I was telling him my professor makes over. Not my professor. My professor works with people that make over $100 million, and some of them,
When it gets to the point where you make more money than you can realistically spend within your lifetime, it's not even about money anymore. Money isn't. It stops existing. You know what I mean?
That sounds like a challenge, Nick.
It's
You think
it
I
becomes
can't spend $100 million in a year? I'll prove you wrong.
No, it's not even about that, because you know what it is. The more money you have, the less money you need to spend. It's really weird.
Yeah,
the more money you have, the less you spend the money, and the more you start collecting money.
You get things for free.
Yeah, you get shit for free. You just reach a status. At that point, it's a point. At that point, it's a points system where your status is based on how many points you have, how much money you have, and it just becomes like a status thing. Like you just do whatever your economic status is, whatever your point is, your level. Like what part of the tier, what part of the fucking pyramid are you on?
Yeah. Well, also like in and let's just put it towards like a policy and political level, legislative level. I was talking to somebody and I was explaining to him about taxes, because he just totally did not. He was asking me about taxes, and I'm like, no, that's not what taxes are, and that's not how you avoid taxes. That's not like. Anyway, we got into this discussion, and he was telling me like, well, why do I I don't want to pay anything at the end of the year, and I was telling him, oh, well, it's all based on like how much income you make and what kind of income you make. And he's like, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, technically, a 1099, right? Is it 1099?
What?
No, the W4, right? W2. I'm sorry. I don't know, man. I'm not even I'm in finance. Anyway, a W-2, when you get those, right, and you get them for your taxes, those are actually the worst type of income that you can get because those actually get taxed more than any other, almost any other type of income.
Which ones?
The W-2.
All of them? Just whenever you fill out a W-2 form?
All right, so it's not the W-2, it's a W-4. When you get the W-4 for your taxes.
Okay.
Okay, so at the end of the year, you get a W-4 saying how much you made, how much you paid in taxes,
right.
and so forth. When you get that, that's actually one of the worst types of forms of income that you can get because you get taxed the most on that. There's like at least 2 or 3 types of taxes that you pay on that form alone. One of the best forms is actually dividends and profits off of investments. I think that's a 1098. Yeah. I don't know. I might be wrong. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Anyway, a 1098. Let's just say it's a 1098.
this week's podcast is so different than last week's podcast.
Let's just say it's a 1098, okay?
Yeah.
Anyway, about that, I'm not sure. I think it's about 15 or 16% that you pay in taxes on that.
God damn.
In your W-4, I believe you pay somewhere around 15 to 20%, depending on how much income you make.
God damn, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
man.
so and on top of that, you're paying different types of income.
Right.
I mean, different types of taxes. On the on the 1098, assuming, you're paying way less, and actually you can even cut off. Like, let's say if you lose money on those investments, you can actually write those off. So there's a lot more tax benefits in investments than just regular income. So let's say you make let's say you make $100 million. That money isn't just regular income to you. You're putting that money into investments. You're putting that money into places where you get dividends every year. Not only are you paying less tax, not only do you make more money than everybody else, but now you're paying even less taxes.
Okay, tell me. I'm sorry. Maybe tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember the class that they taught this shit to us in high school. Like, I don't remember them teaching us about any of this shit in high school or even in college, unless you're going specifically for economics.
Realize I'm an economics and finance.
No, I understand where you got the information from. I'm being sarcastic. I'm saying they don't teach this to you in high school, and it affects everybody because I've never met a person in my entire life who doesn't pay taxes.
Oh. Wesley Snipes?
Wesley Snipes? When he goes to a grocery store, it's exactly the price that it says on the label. It's going to be $2.99.
It's $9.99, right? $9.99.
He walks in with exact change for everything. Here's $9.99.
This is California. The tax is 9%. $9.99, motherfucker.
I am California, motherfucker.
How do you get that tax exempt thing?
What do you mean tax exempt?
Tax exempt status.
Yeah. Do you know how people get it?
No, you just happen to be part of the clan that bribes all the officials.
The clan.
There's a lot of tax deductions that you can do. For instance, one of the tax deductions I try to take advantage of is paying my student interest. And so I can write that off every year. I try to pay as much student interest as possible. And on top of that, I also have a traditional IRA account where every time I make some kind of money or something, I send money over there into investments. And I can also write off those contributions. And it's only the traditional IRA. You can't write off the Roth IRA account.
See, I want to say that most people who listen to this, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm just ignorant as fuck. I don't know about most of this shit.
Oh, yeah, most people don't know about it. And honestly...
And how many of these people does it affect?
It affects everybody.
Everybody.
Honestly, I think in high school, there needs to be, like... there needs to be a class that teaches you how to manage money.
I could.
Actually, and I hate quoting this guy, but because there's a lot of things I disagree with him. But
if you quote Rush Limbaugh, I'm gonna be pissed.
I'm not gonna quote Rush Limbaugh. I don't like Rush Limbaugh, but it's Dave Ramsey. I actually have his book, Dave Ramsey, The Total Money Makeover, which is it's his like best-selling book, which basically breaks down how you should form a budget. He hates credit and debt, so he would never ask you to pull out a loan, a personal loan. He'll tell you to cut up all your credit cards. And the only type of loan that he would probably ask you to do is a mortgage. But
so you can own a fucking house.
So you can own a fucking house, but also he wants you to pay off that mortgage as fast as possible.
Dude, that should be the case on anything that you buy.
You're right.
Debt is servitude.
Well, you don't have any. Well, Scotland doesn't even have a bank account, right?
Christians never asked you to open one.
Yeah, when we first started dating.
Really?
Yeah.
That's when you found out.
It's nice not to pay banks any bullcrap charges.
Is that why you don't have it, or like you just don't want one?
Yeah, no, I mean, they charge you if you don't have enough money in your account. They charge you every time you want to pull your own money out. It's ridiculous. They've fooled everyone into thinking that they have to be part of the process of your boss paying you, or whatever money you earn. They somehow have to be involved and get a cut and hold on to it for a few days and use it to invest.
They've done a really good job of that.
You ate the whole bag of cookies. What a dick.
I ate the crumbs at the bottom of the bag. We ate the whole bag of cookies.
Did you see the Nobel Prize winning economist came out today and said that the economy right now, stock market's a huge bubble and it's going to end badly?
I agree. I think it is. I don't know how badly it's going to be.
I mean, it's all gonna.
Every time it crashes, it's worse than last time.
It's not gonna taper. The Fed's probably gonna increase the QE3.
I think that's
so it all like blows up on our face, and the dollar completely crashes, and then there'll be bank runs and limits on withdrawals, and it'll be chaos.
I think there's truth to that. If we continue this QE, I think the moment we finish it or stop it, there's going to be a huge bust in the stock market bubble, and there's going to be I don't know how fast, but there's going to be a huge increase in inflation, and I think banks might feel too scared, and they might raise interest rates a little bit too much.
Well, it's really simple. The Fed is printing what, $20 billion a month in bonds.
Really?
So there's $20 billion digitally created every month.
It's somewhere around 35.
I mean, it doesn't
based on nothing, right?
Well,
20 billion.
It's buying the It's
that's what inflation is now.
No, it's what it's doing. It's buying debt from mortgage companies, from mortgages, and all the bad debt that Freddie and
Fannie Mae,
and other types of U.S. Treasury bonds that are doing. So basically, if anybody's buying our fucking bonds, it's the Fed.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're making money off of this, and what they're trying to do is by doing this, they're keeping interest rates as low as possible because all these loans are secured. They're secured by the Fed, basically. And by doing that, interest rates are now at zero. So by everything being at zero, all the financial institutions, all the loan makers have no reason to raise interest rates at a ridiculous price. So that's why interest rates are at an all-time low. And mortgages are about, even now, they're about 4.5%. Those are incredibly low prices. low interest rates. And we probably won't see that ever again in the future. But the moment that the Fed starts feeling that the economy is doing better, they're going to stop, or not altogether stop, but they're going to slowly reduce the amount that... What the fuck? Oh, wow. No, don't put that on. Oh, man. Hold on. That is funny. Wow.
I don't know what the fuck's going on right now.
This is an Uma device. I replaced the Time Warner cable, like home phone landline, with just a completely internet service. Uma should sponsor us. I believe in Uma.
Uma.
Anyway, going back to whatever the ridiculous thing I was talking about. So as the Fed starts reducing the amount of debt that it's buying, interest rates are going to slowly increase, or that's the intention, to slowly increase. And so all this debt that we're racking up, supposedly will be balanced off by a better economy where we can tax more and pay off that debt. That's the logic of it.
Well, I feel like we're talking like we're NFL analysts talking about how the strategy of the game is going when the game is actually rigged. It's
Just like real
point.
NFL.
Yeah.
So it's like everything.
And here we are. We're like, oh well, they need to do this in the fourth quarter and blah blah blah. Well, the game's rigged.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, the whole point is like the dollar is a fiat currency, which means its value is based on how much there is in circulation, and we're digitally printing $20 billion every single month, indefinitely. So I mean, it's only a matter of time where it just gets so devalued that it completely collapses. It's all going to be orchestrated, and it's all been done before, and it's all being manipulated in a big chess game.
When was it done before?
In
I think Rome did it.
right after
Didn't Rome?
I want it.
All right, sorry. Fuck.
what's the story? Is it the Rothschilds that the Battle of Waterloo? They found out that the British defeated Napoleon, but the Rothschilds instead told everyone that the British had been defeated, and so the entire stock market crashed based on the news. And then he bought up everything at a fraction of the price. And then when the news came that they actually had won and everything was good and all the value was still there, then he had already owned everything and bought everything up for a fraction of the price. And they did the same thing. The stock market crashed. Like all the independent banks that used to exist, they all crashed, and they were bought out by the biggest banks. And then they bought everything at pennies on the dollar and wiped out all of their competition all in one swoop.
The stock market crash in the beginning of the 20th century, or the recent stock market crash?
No, in the 20s.
In every stock market.
I'm talking about the Black Friday stock market crash. Not Black Friday, Black Tuesday.
No, I think Black Friday was... Well, that happened, but...
Black Friday was last Friday.
But it's also happened in several other, like...
But that was the first time, like, that it really fucking took a nosedive, right?
Yeah, 1929?
1929.
No, 39. No, 29.
29.
Yeah, yeah, that was the biggest one.
That's the one that resulted in the Federal Reserve being put together and all that bullshit.
No.
1913.
That was 1913?
Yeah.
Oh, it was before that.
It's 100 years ago.
Today? 1,000 years, 100 years ago now.
December 23rd, actually.
Oh,
That's part of
So
how
now we gotta wait for December 20th. I'm more scared of December 23rd than I was of December 21st
Actually,
last
what's
year.
interesting is that Scotland told me was that the Federal Reserve Act was passed by how much in Congress?
That's a good name for it, the act.
There was like less than 5% of Congress in in attendance. It was December
Less
23rd.
than 5%.
Yeah, it was like 5%.
Because everybody was out for the holiday.
Yeah, that's how they were able
Christmas.
to pass
I
it.
watched Zeitgeist.
Oh wow, what a dick! Quoting
Well,
Zeitgeist.
that was-
Actually, you know what? We didn't quote anybody here.
Nobody quoted Zeitgeist. I learned that in Zeitgeist though.
How dare you?
You know what I want to know, Chris? I want to know, like, September 11th to me was like the big thing that totally flipped me as far as how I view the world. Do you see, like, do you believe the official story? Like,
Ooh,
what do you think is going on?
I want to know too.
Do you believe a plane hit the Pentagon?
Oh, that one's different.
That one's
Wait,
different.
Wait, are you
Yeah,
talking about
that's a
the
little
Twin
bit
Towers?
different.
Or are you talking about the
No,
Pentagon?
That's a
It's
little
all
bit different.
one thing.
No, it's not.
You can't say that,
I
like,
kind of feel. I
One
kind
part
of.
was
It was
legit,
all
another
one day,
part
but it was-
wasn't. It's all one operation.
I can't say that it was all one operation.
Well, it was all on the same day, so it was all put together by the same people.
You can say that, but at the same time,
That'd be a crazy coincidence if it was just a bunch of different like plans that
no,
all worked out. At the same
No,
time.
I think honestly, what happened was that they knew that. I think they knew there was going to be an attack that day. And you know, I hate to go into this water, but I'm gonna try to tread lightly. Okay.
It's fair.
I think they did know. God damn it!
That's what you get for treading lightly.
Give me another beer.
No.
Here, keep this.
It's assembly line.
Anyway, what I think is that I think there was gonna be an attack. I think I don't know which one was which, but there was an attack.
Alright.
There was an attack by Osama bin Laden. But I also think that some key players in the United States knew that there was going to be an attack.
But no,
on that
not just
day.
did they know it, because they admit to having known. But what their argument is that there's so many threats every day. We have no way of knowing which. Do you know that they knew for a fact that it was going to happen before it happened?
Yeah, I do.
Do you think that in any way that
the
it was?
CIA and the FBI both knew.
Yeah,
but they just
I
didn't
think they all
collaborate.
knew, but also, all right. I think that Osama bin Laden did attack the United States.
I don't think it's a question.
I also believe that.
Do people question that he was involved at all?
I also believe that the administration knew about it, but I also believe that at least one of the attacks was not Osama bin Laden.
The one that on the same day?
Yeah. And I think, alright, this is just my personal belief. I have no reason to believe this. Okay? Let's just say that, because I am putting this online.
We stopped being Catholic a long time ago. You don't have to believe in things that there's no reason to believe anymore.
Alright, well. What a dick.
Yeah,
Well, I don't think all of the attacks were by Osama bin Laden, and I don't know which one was which. I'm not sure about the.
I'd say if it was any of them, it'd probably be the planes, right?
Well, there were what, 4 planes that day?
No.
Yeah. there
Well,
were
it
4
depends.
planes.
Do you believe a plane hit the Pentagon? Because I've seen
The official story is that there were 4 planes.
one crash that didn't hit anybody, 2 hit the towers, but I've seen
there was
video
one for the Pentagon.
But I heard it wasn't the plane that hit the Pentagon. It was like a missile or something. Right?
That's the theory, but the official story is that there were 4 planes. So what I'm saying is that I really don't know what happened that day.
Well, yeah, because we weren't there.
I remember seeing it as a kid. Wow, that sucks.
Dude, that was scary as shit.
I remember I woke up and I would always turn on the TV to watch Recess.
Yeah.
TV. And I was looking for Recess and it wasn't there. I turned to Channel 5, it wasn't there. All I kept on seeing was this fucking tower that was on fire, and I'm like, and my dad walked in and he's like putting on his shirt and everything for work, and he's like, "Oh, that looks like a really good movie."
Oh my god. And it
I'm
was.
like, I don't think that's a movie. I think this is
Yeah.
this is really happening. And he's like, really? And I remember being in school and my teacher, remember Miss Bauer?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, she came in and this was the first time I've ever seen her cry.
She was crying?
She was crying and she was talking about, how we should be strong and this and that and blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
And those two moments were like the most ingrained thing in my head about that day.
I saw it in morning daycare, watching recess. I remember it, like, I remember watching recess, and then it came on. Like, it just came on. And everybody was just like, what the hell is this? Like, what's going on? And being so young, like, we didn't really get what was happening because it's like planes are hitting a building. When I was 12 or 13, I didn't know what the World Trade Center was. I'd never heard of that building before. You know what I mean? I didn't know what the significance of planes hitting that were. I didn't know. I mean, it was safe to assume that planes didn't hit buildings all the time, but I mean, like, I didn't get the idea at the time watching it on the news live that it was, theoretically orchestrated by anybody. Like, because at that point nobody knew or whatever, right? Like, everyone was just reacting to what was happening. But it wasn't like bam, bam, crash. It was like bam, and then like we were watching, like, people were just, the news was already at the scene filming the tower on fire before the other plane hit. When you watch footage of, like, the plane hitting the building, one of the planes has already hit because they got the second one on footage, but not the first one.
Yeah.
So everyone sees the same video of the plane hitting the building, and then they see that really interesting, like, fall that the building did. But I mean, I just remember it was scary, dude. I remember we were all in the church at the same time. Like, they put us all in the church in the afternoon. It was like the day before we had youth mass that month or whatever. And we were
said
practicing.
That was the safest place to be, and I'm like, isn't this the same acre lot?
Dude, it was super quiet, and I remember there were just no planes in the sky.
Yeah.
For like that whole day, there were just no planes in the sky. And I remember just thinking, like, if I hear a plane, I'm gonna be so fucking scared.
To answer your question, Scotland,
Yeah.
I don't know really what happened that day, but I can tell you that the events that happened afterwards really made me question everything about our government, about the world, and really about authority figures.
Well, I'm gonna harp on it because I think if I can if convince you, then it'll be really important. That the Pentagon wasn't hit by a plane. If it really was, then there would be all kinds of security camera footage of it. Like, you're telling me the Pentagon, the most secure, protected structure in the entire fucking world, pretty much, like, it doesn't have an outside camera that, like, with the surveillance going on, like, that saw an airplane. All the hotels in the area, like, even traffic cams, they were all confiscated. Them all saying that an airplane hit the Pentagon, there's no video proof, and there would be video proof. So that's like, no, that didn't happen. The towers were rigged with explosives, and there's no way they could have come down just because of the airplanes. And like they found thermite, and there was molten metal underneath.
They found thermite?
Yeah, thermite and molten metal underneath. There's a professor, Stephen Jones of Brigham Young University from Utah, who went there and he tested it. There was molten metal running underneath these buildings, and they're like, why is there molten metal? And it takes, way beyond the capacity of jet fuel fire to melt steel. And he tested it because he's a professor of chemistry, and he found thermite in it. And there's pictures of these steel beams, and they're cut perfectly at like 45-degree angles, which is how they wrap it when they want to like take down a building. And if you look at it, it's all free fall speed. And then what do they do with the evidence after? They immediately shipped it all to China. That's
what?
On record. They took all of the steel, all of the wreckage from the World Trade Center, and they shipped it all to China. They didn't have study it all. They didn't put it into big forensic labs where they let's prevent this ever from happening again and build structures that won't be susceptible to this. No, they shipped it all to China, got rid of all the evidence immediately. the Pentagon, they poured like a bunch of dirt over everything like immediately, like the same day. Tower 7 didn't even get hit by a building, and it pancaked like free fall speed. It's completely impossible, like
because of debris.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's on record.
That was silly.
Like NSA, the FBI, all these agencies had like headquarters in that building, World Trade Center Tower 7. And then the one that the crash in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. There's no airplane there. There's a big divot in the ground. Like,
Yeah.
I have no idea what really happened, but I know that the buildings were wired and they were brought down. Like, to me, it's pretty much like indisputable. And there's no evidence. There's no camera like showing the Pentagon being hit by an airplane. So like they rigged it all. Oh, I mean, and there's like 100 things I could go into, but supposedly it was like the greatest gold heist of all time. There was all this gold in the basement,
Yeah.
and it was all stolen. And then they found a truck that was abandoned, that was full of gold, but it was like abandoned somewhere, like because the towers were collapsing.
Gold from the basement of the Twin Towers?
Yeah.
Really?
And that like all this gold went missing and has never been recovered. And
Why was there gold there in the
Basically, it
first
was a
place?
huge gold heist.
Why was there gold? Wait. So
Yeah.
there was gold in the Pentagon and the World Trade Center, or
No,
just the
no,
World
just
Trade
the World
Center?
Trade
The World
So
Trade
how is
Center.
that connected to the Pentagon then?
Well, they were just all part of the same op, and the Pentagon was probably hit by a missile or a bomb, and it was also like hit. Like if you look at the way it was hit, like you can see it wasn't like an airplane crash, but they did one sector out of the 5 sectors of the Pentagon. They reinforced one sector, and that was the sector that got hit.
But what was the purpose of that? Like, what do you?
It was because the whole Oklahoma City thing. They blew that up to try to scare people enough about terrorism to pass like Patriot Act laws and to start wars.
Did people die in the Pentagon?
Couldn't they have done that with just the Twin Towers though?
Yeah. Well, that's
no, because they wanted to make sure it was like over the top, like the Pentagon, because Twin Towers is just like a civilian target, but the Pentagon being hit, it's like that's our military headquarters.
that should be
It's like-
probably one of the places that there's the least amount of excuse for getting hit. There should be no way the Pentagon should
Right.
get hit. There should be tons of anti-air.
You're telling me the Pentagon doesn't have anti-aircraft systems? Exactly.
Dude, everything.
Like
we
they
have
never
we have
thought,
satellites.
Oh, if a plane comes in and we need to defend ourselves, like they.
Yeah, what if they
have no
breach our
idea.
defenses to the point where, I mean, people know where the Pentagon is. It's not like it's classified information.
Just to let you know, like, and drones, and the Predator
Oh,
drone,
fuck, dude.
the
Drones.
Predator
that's-
drone, which has been around since the early 1990s, they were able to equip it with weaponry since 2000. Now I don't know about using drones or stuff in the U.S. I don't think I think that's a horrible idea. But at least the Pentagon doesn't have some kind of system to defend itself from missiles. Send a drone out there to blow up a missile, or I think now the whole thing is if we ever encounter ourselves in the same situation where planes are being used
Weapons.
as weapons, we're supposed to blow up the entire plane.
Well, yeah, at that point after this, but I mean, okay, but I don't want to deviate too far. Like, so what is your response to everything that Scotland said? Because I want to hear, I want to dig more into that because I have a lot of questions based on what you said. Because I know most of the stuff that you talked about. I want to say 80% of it I've heard, and I've seen a lot of documentaries, and I've read a lot of literature that have gone deep into that. And I know that there were firefighters who were in the basement of the Twin Tower who heard explosions in the basement that before the plane even hit. And they got fired for bringing it up. And they weren't saying it was a conspiracy theory when they brought it up. They were just bringing it up, and they got fired or sent away or some shit, man. Some fucking shady stuff happened. And there's a lot of evidence where if they've done a lot of shit where if it wasn't an inside job, they've done a ton of shit that really makes them look suspicious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, like they have done nothing in favor of themselves except try so hard to prevent any real information from getting exposed.
Well,
You know what I mean?
It goes on and on. Larry Silverstein paid like a few million for the Trade Center towers, and then got like $12 billion in insurance afterwards.
Oh wow.
So he made like a historic profit off of all of it. He also was interviewed on PBS after Larry Silverstein, the guy who owned he leased the World Trade Center towers like starting in 96 or 98 or something.
What else has he done though? Like who is he?
He's like a Jewish real estate insider. He has a lot of like ties to Israel.
I'm sorry. Before you continue, last podcast we said that we really want to hear your Jewish accent. Your Jewish
accent.
So, could you do a Jew voice for us, please?
A Jew voice. I'll be able to do one a lot better when we're at Indian food with all the kids around.
All right, because
all the kids. I need
India's
children.
Yeah, the neighborhood is full of like
India's oven.
There's like a
kids in
temple
suits.
right there and a Jewish institute right there, just down the street, and there's a lot of like Orthodox Jews that walk around, and right next to India's oven, which is the best Indian food in all of Los Angeles. Just have to say that.
Let me somebody please sponsor the podcast.
Please sponsor.
Someone we want to sponsor the podcast.
This was not cheap. Anyway,
we'll do stamps.com, but we don't want to. That'd probably be our like number one benefactor too. We just lost our only one.
It's Ting. Anyway,
brought to you by Ting.
Well, try to bring it up somewhere. I want to hear that awesome voice at some point tonight.
Yeah, surprises with it.
Anyway, go on.
So, what's it, Joe Silverstein?
Larry Silverstein.
Larry Silverstein.
He was on PBS shortly after, and they were talking about World Trade Center tower collapsing. And he said that we had decided to pull it, and pull it being a term the engineers use when they're going to demolish, like when they're going to blow up a building. So he basically said that, he said there's been so much loss of life, and everything that had happened, we decided to pull it because they were supposedly afraid of it falling on its own or whatever. But afterward, they completely denied everything. You can still look it up. Like it was on PBS, it aired and everything. But they don't want that message to be put out because then people will realize, oh, wait, they rigged the entire building. Like it takes weeks of preparation to rig it all perfectly.
Well, a lot of floors were under construction before it happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of this stuff. A lot of people, when you start talking about this topic, will just automatically blow you off as a crazy person or somebody who buys into some shit. But if you look into a lot of the evidence that's really put forward, there are very credible resources that show that a lot of the evidence is there. You know what I mean? And people ignore it because I feel like they've really pushed where if you even bring it up, they want people to automatically go to that place where it's okay, this person has no credibility.
Yeah.
But the evidence is fucking there. People just don't want to look at it. They don't want to see it. They want to just automatically write you off because people want to live in that comfort zone. But the evidence is there. If you go and you look, some of it is speculation because you can't know but a lot of it, there's clear evidence that exists where you can go and you can look and you can say, wow, that really is a little bit suspicious. You get the guy who found thermite in the fucking metal, Stephen Jones. That's a little bit fucking suspicious. Why would that be there?
And thermite, for those that don't know what it is, thermite is one of the most explosive and most
it's how Jesse and Walt stole the fucking
okay, everybody just watched that episode of Breaking Bad
where they break into
thermite.
the lab.
Yeah, they use thermite and basically
to get the methylamine.
Yes, it
they
explains a lot
blow
more,
open the door.
I'm not a chemist, nor do I try to be.
It's a highly explosive material, and
it's an artificially produced
it's not
artificially manufactured chemical that cuts through steel.
Yeah.
And it emits white smoke, which, if you look at the towers, anything burning inside an office building will emit black smoke, thick black smoke. But if you look at the corners and certain windows, it's all this white smoke wisping out, and it's all because the main supports have been wrapped with thermite, and they're all slowly melting.
How would they have wrapped all the frames, all the beams, with thermite without anybody knowing inside.
Supposedly, about in June, prior to September, they closed down for like a day or so. They had a bunch of maintenance work going on in like the elevator. Or
Yeah.
whatever.
A lot of stuff was under construction throughout the year. They're doing regular maintenance over the building.
Really?
A lot of, and that, like I said, that's a lot of the shit that's evidence that you can look at and you can see that that's there. That really happened.
But also, there's all kinds of real footage of like people on the scene and firefighters, and they're all talking about hearing explosions, and they're all talking about. There's one where the guys are like, "Back up, back up!" They're gonna pull it. They're talking about like World Trade Center #7. They're like we're gonna, they're gonna pull it. They're gonna bring it down. Everyone back up. Everyone back up. And there's tons of more footage of firefighters talking about explosions and saying that they were all injured in explosions, and it all just gets silenced. But I remember, like, you were talking about people not wanting to hear it or give any attention. I remember when I first heard it. I didn't realize it at the time, but it's really like a whole thing of people don't want to believe that they've been duped. That like if they're lying about that, then it's kind of like a really scary and very insecure feeling to realize that like you have no idea what world you're really living, and that people are actually totally conniving against you. And
that's fair though.
That you're a total fool.
That's a fair thing to be afraid of though, because that's a really fucking heavy thing to have to wrap your mind around. Even the possibility of.
You know what it reminds me of is, do you remember when you were Nick? When you were talking to your mom about like conspiracies and like not so much conspiracies, but things where the government is duping you.
Yeah.
And your mom said, "Why would the government dupe you? Like all you're saying is just bullshit." And
well, she didn't say everything was bullshit.
But she totally disagreed with you and tried to make you kind of sound like far-fetched. And I like what you said. You said you brought up the Nixon administration about
Watergate, where how they actually got caught.
Yeah, they actually got caught in the 70s, and you're talking about 40 years later.
They don't have the technology to fucking cover up things a lot better than they did in the fucking 70s.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was my point, because she said, like, why would the government try to trick us? Because you know what, like not so much now, but a long time ago, patriotism was a much cooler thing than it is now. You know what I mean? Like, it was more normal to really feel like the country was behind you, and you want to believe that. And I think that's the thing that scares people, is that to think that this kind of stuff is real, that's really heavy shit, man. You know what I mean? To have to sit there, because it's a burden, because to be afraid of these things that are out there.
You begin to realize that
how helpless you are is one thing.
How helpless you are, and also that this pretty world that you live in is not as pretty as you think. Once you cross these borders, you have drug wars, you have cartels, you have senseless murders, you have people constantly fighting for land, you have people constantly fighting over religion, you have constant disease and suffering and death, and this country, and I understand why, but they turn away from it.
Well, to kind of address something that Scotland had said, like, you're saying that people are afraid, people get upset that they're being duped, or they get upset because they've been tricked all this time. And I agree with that, because that, like I said, because we trust these people, or you're supposed to be able to trust these people to take care of us, which was the idea of them existing in the first place. The thing that I've noticed a lot of people say, and I've heard this multiple times when I bring up anything remotely close to this, and I try to tiptoe my way into this because you don't want to turn people get turned off quickly by the subject or any of these subjects. They walk away or they shut off. You know, there's a heavy prejudice to any of these topics. But one thing they say specifically about the World Trade Center is, so you're telling me that the government was okay with killing all of those innocent people?
Yeah.
And you know what it is? Like, it really hurts to say yes if you believe that. What you're saying is that the government is okay with killing all those innocent people. And you're saying that. And what you're doing is you're accusing all of these people of being murderers. And if you think about it, the people who orchestrated this, whoever they are fucking murderers. They killed all those people. None of those people signed up to get killed for the cause. And so many people died for that shit. For what? Just the ends to justify the means? What does that make us? Are we just commodities to these people? Are we expenditures? Are we things that are just you can just throw human lives aside. We sit over here and we're debating over death penalties and abortion, the value of one human life, gay marriage, and thousands of human lives were just ended.
Marijuana.
For what?
You know how many lives have been destroyed because of marijuana?
Seriously, man.
You know how sad that is? Meanwhile, hundreds of people, millions of people are dying
from cigarettes and alcohol.
Drones.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You know what? Touching on that, because all right, after President Bush, because we understand, nobody loved President Bush.
Nobody loves President Obama either anymore.
Nobody should love President Obama as much as 2008 Obama.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I voted for Obama. I had so much hope. I was
I voted for Obama too.
Finally,
it was so easy to fall into the delusion of him making promises that he, as the president of the United States, has absolutely no authority to follow through. Because it's fun to pretend that the president means anything. Well, it's fun to pretend the president exists.
Well, we gave so much power to the former president. We thought, well, this guy could do the same thing, right? But he's going to do the right thing.
To me, the president is like the entire country votes on an avatar. Who's going to be the avatar for USA? Oh, we're going to pick this little guy.
And it was just after the movie Avatar, and we had to pick somebody really tall and different colors.
And then we pick what our character looks like, and then the people who run the government get to use the controllers, and they get to make him pretend that he's doing the things that they're all doing.
And you know what? It must be hard because honestly, I don't think Obama really means to do all of that.
Dude, I don't think the guy's dumb enough to think that he actually could do any of it. When you're the president, by the time you're at the position where you're decided, we think this guy can be the president. You're voted by the American Idol, whatever the government does, to pick who the president is going to be. And then they pick who's going to be the best person that we're going to pretend who could be the other president, right?
Yeah.
And then when they finally decide this is going to be the president, the guy knows what's going to happen. They just give him a script. How many of the words that Obama says during speeches do you really think are things that he wrote, things that he came up with?
He has,
how much freedom does he have?
2 or 3. Just in the campaign, he had 2 speechwriters. In the first 2008 campaign.
And they wrote all of the speech.
Oh, they wrote all of his speeches.
How much did he just go up there and freestyle?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Only when hecklers came in.
Maybe if he threw one of these up, but other than that, I'll be correct.
So what do you think?
He's just an actor. He's the teleprompter in chief.
There's nothing wrong with using a teleprompter.
Teleprompter in chief.
I would rather trust someone who speaks from the heart, like Ron Paul.
Oh,
what?
Wow. Not to confuse with his bastard child, Rand Paul.
It was our only choice still.
Ron Paul.
For a decent leader as president. Rand Paul 2014.
You mean 2016?
Whatever.
It's not like you're going to vote.
We have to wait till 2016. No, I'm not going to vote. Because I believe in voting just shows that I'm still delusional enough to think it actually matters or is being counted correctly. I think most Americans feel the same way I do. Only less than 20% of people actually vote. Did you see today that Congress has a 6% approval rating?
I think that's the lowest it's ever been, right?
Lowest ever recorded in history.
I feel like that's
below
appropriate.
Used car salesman.
What?
According to Gallup.
Holy shit.
Which is
wow, I've never heard of it being in the single digits.
6%. Yeah, people know. People get it. We're all being totally screwed over and lied to.
You know what? I remember when I was being totally screwed over and lied to by Bill Clinton. Those were good times, man. Bill Clinton.
All he lied about was fucking.
Fucking and blowing up children.
I mean, the guy liked Fleetwood Mac, so I mean, he must have been cool, right?
Yeah.
Mr. President, were you fucking some lady? Can we blow up some children real quick, please?
I like to kiss children after I fuck.
Give me Henry Kissinger on the phone.
Aww. Screw Henry Kissinger. I don't like that guy.
That's why he wants to kill you.
No, but let's be honest though. Don't you guys remember the '90s a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I
miss
mean,
the
I was
90s.
like,
Could you shut up? Don't.
I was like
Real
4.
quick.
I was ages 4
quick.
through 12, but yeah, it was fun.
Oh my God, the unemployment level at 13%.
You need to stop admiring Bill Clinton. Realize
Actually-
that he is a globalist trash. And that he
He played
would
saxophone.
just
He played
he
saxophone.
would just
He's-
as soon see
He went to
you
Korea.
die.
Cultural. He's cultural. Culture minded.
Apparently, there's a lot of murders surrounding him and his campaign. Like for governor in Arkansas, he's ordered murders of a lot of people. There's books out talking about it.
Really?
And they're gonna try to make Hillary. It's gonna be Hillary versus Christie, which will just be a new low.
Okay, yeah, that's a really new low. But all right, here's my prediction. Okay, I think Hillary is gonna try to run, but then some other younger candidate is gonna step in and totally blow her off.
Is it gonna be one
I
of those
hope
things
so.
where like the hot one wins?
That'll be, and you know what? It's gonna be
Joe
Simon.
Biden.
The people who are gonna vote for the president is gonna be the debates are gonna be they're gonna be moderated by Simon Cowell from American Idol and Jennifer
no.
Lopez
Fear factor.
and Joe Rogan.
Fear factor.
No, Joe Rogan's not allowed because he thinks.
Oh.
It's got to be someone who knows how to make things interesting.
Well,
Snap
guys-
it up.
Snap it up. He smokes weed.
Yeah, he does.
Simon Cowell.
No,
No,
definitely
Joe Rogan.
not Simon Cowell.
Oh
Joe
God.
Rogan.
Actually, you know what? I think Simon Cowell would be interesting.
Yeah, he might.
Yeah. Not that.
Because he would berate them for saying stupid shit.
Yeah, he's like, I believe in American jobs. No, you don't. Actually, that was horrible.
That is the
I
most
did not believe you
unoriginal
whatsoever.
bullshit quote ever said. Everybody says it.
For some reason, the fact that he has an English accent lends him automatic credibility to American audiences.
It does. Someone's gonna give him an Oscar for some reason.
Babe, could you do an English accent for me?
Was you in the boat when the boat tipped over? No, I was in the water.
The water.
That was the sexiest thing you've ever done.
I think it's
Or
time to
David
go.
Beckham.
I know.
Yeah, I did it, and I'll do it again. I think that's funny. Why poor David Beckham?
Because girls think he's hot until he starts talking.
He doesn't tip.
So he
He
doesn't,
doesn't
tip.
tip. He used to come to my Starbucks all the
He's
time.
European.
Oh my god! I
Oh,
didn't know.
whatever.
it's not European.
Nobody really tips at Starbucks.
A lot
Just a
of
few people
tip at Starbucks.
tip.
It's
The
stupid.
regulars.
It's stupid to tip at Starbucks because those people don't get paid any differently based on how you tip and the tips.
Yeah, that's true.
But for some reason it's expected of people and people
I do
bitch about not getting
I do
tipped.
like to tip like $20 like around the holidays at Starbucks. Like I like to tip $20 inside the jar.
So everyone gets another 90 cents that week.
Wow. Obviously, I'm not gonna tip at your Starbucks.
Don't tip at my Starbucks.
No, because like I mean, I go to Starbucks so frequently, like I feel like I should tip.
Because you don't give them enough of your money already.
Well, I use my
Overpriced
card.
drinks.
Well, all right, you don't gotta be kind of
I'm sorry.
gotta be so rude. Bad Nick.
How do you feel about tipping Scotland?
I noticed people tip less here in California.
Do they?
Yeah. But we were just talking, it's because servers get paid minimum wage here, and in other states you get like only $2 an hour. And that's why people tip more.
You know what? That's really fucked up. I listened to Freakonomics. Freakonomics did the
Yeah, me
episode
too.
on tipping, and it was
Dude,
a
that's an
really
old
good
episode.
episode. And no, it was like 3 weeks ago.
No, it's not.
They did a tipping episode 3 weeks ago.
No, I listened to that like 4 months ago
It was
On
not
the
from 4
podcast.
months ago. You son of a bitch.
on the podcast.
I don't know. Maybe it was. I don't think so though, because I
It was
recently,
a broadcast. Anyway, you're right. I actually talked to him about that.
Did
Where
you?
and not to be racist, and I hate to start sentences like that, but they found out that black people actually do tip less.
Not only do they tip less,
Duh.
no, it wasn't that. You know what? That wasn't.
Excuse me.
No, that
White
wasn't the
people
part.
like cheese.
I didn't find that part interesting. It wasn't that black people tip less. I found out white people tip white people more than they tip black people. I found out black people tip white people more than they tip other
Yeah,
black
that's
people.
true.
That was the one that stood out to me the most. I was like, what?
And, you know,
What is
I
that?
don't
Black people
understand
tip
that.
white people more than they tip black people. And they
You know what?
interviewed black people asking, like, they interviewed a bunch of them asking why, like, why do you tip less? And they said, well, people got to earn my money and all this kind of shit. It was just a different way of, it was a different mentality.
Yeah.
But I don't get, like, that's fine. If you don't believe in tipping, even if it's like a cultural thing, then you don't fucking believe in tipping. It's not like it's mandatory. But the fact that they tip white people more than they tip other black people, that was the part that stood out to me, because I'm thinking, why that?
Because they feel like they have to prove that they got money to white people.
It could be.
Maybe
Yeah,
maybe that's it. But
Like,
I think
they're
that's,
equals. Like, oh, you like kind of like a pity tip.
I feel like that says a lot more though than in general white people tip more than black people. I think black people tipping white people more than they tip other black people says a lot more. I think it's a more interesting approach. And I think they should have explored that way more than just throwing out the
They
statistic.
said that they would, but it was kind of hard to really identify why.
Yeah.
Because I remember that. Freakonomics is such a fucking good podcast.
It is. It's
to
really
listen
good,
to.
and they're only like half an hour each, and they talk to a lot of people.
Dude, there's a lot. Oh man, you should. Do you have them on the podcast? Their
What?
podcast?
Yeah, I download random episodes.
Oh no, dude, listen to them like consistently. Like you learn so much facts, and even when you tell there's a suicide paradox, which
I want to listen to that one. Yeah.
that one is really good. I was blown away. You can't really talk to people about it. It's kind of tough.
Yeah.
About that one because they kind of look at you. Or I've tried.
The suicide paradox?
Well,
Remember
let's
I
talk
told
about it
you-
now.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, the suicide paradox, and I found it really interesting. Remember, I told you that in first world countries, suicide is, and the way they put it, is considered more of a luxury.
Suicide's a luxury.
Yeah.
Like only some people get to do it.
So the way they started off,
How is that?
well,
a luxury?
actually, kind of, yeah. The way they started off the podcast was they had this. I don't think it was Catholic. It was a Protestant, like missionary,
Mhm.
and he talks about his story how he went to I forgot where, somewhere in Africa. And the whole point was, as a missionary, to convert these people and spread Jesus and tell them how Jesus saved them and this and that.
Right.
Just to let you know, this guy left a religion and joined this African community and became an anthropologist and began to study their community and so forth. And his story was he came over, he tried to spread Christianity, and in doing so, what he did, he brought the whole tribe into like a congregation, a meeting, and he was telling them about the love and sacrifice that Jesus did for them, whatever that may be. And
Whatever that may be.
and he said
And all that nonsense.
and he said that what he said was that what really changed his life was when I believe his aunt killed herself. And
Who said this?
the missionary.
Okay.
The aunt killed herself, and like it totally changed his life, and he became religious,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole tribe started laughing.
What?
The entire tribe just started cracking up and laughing, and this guy's like pouring out something very personal about himself, and he's like, "Well, what's so funny?" He's
Yeah.
like, and they're like, "Your aunt." Like, why the fuck would she kill herself? That's such a stupid thing to do. And it took him a while, but
Because those people spend their whole lives trying not to die.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the point. Like their whole they live in malaria. They confront diseases. They confront animals trying to kill them. They confront through like just a simple flu could kill them.
Every day they're trying not to die. Every day,
Exactly.
One of their main purpose is probably not to die.
Exactly. And so basically, the entire podcast and the entire episode, they're talking. They go to different scenarios about suicide, and they come to realize that in actuality, suicide is really just found in first world countries and first world regions, and not found in these third world countries where people are constantly trying to stay alive and they see a purpose. And on top of that, they're happier. They're happier in their own day-to-day lives.
Yeah, I believe it.
And it was really interesting to me, really eye-opening. And there was even because I haven't listened to it in a while. This episode happened like about 2 months ago. But they go to, I believe it was Turkey, a city in Turkey where it has the highest suicide rate in the rest of the country put together.
Where?
I think it was Turkey. I might be wrong. I would have to go back to the podcast.
Turkey has the highest suicide rate of what?
No. I'm just saying
This area of Turkey.
The city in Turkey has the highest suicide rate in the rest of Turkey put together. And in this city, of course, suicide is not illegal, but but the difference is that it's not frowned upon either. So in the city, they're actually so many people like kill themselves, and a lot of people talk about killing themselves.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, in their perspective and their whole like worldview is that if you're sad or if you're in pain, if you just can't handle life anymore, then just kill yourself. And their whole view is that you're actually doing the rest of us a favor, because we don't have to take care of you when you're old and you're in ailments. You know, we don't have to deal with your bullshit. We don't have to, if you don't want to be here, then don't be here.
That's interesting, because going a step further from that, this past weekend I watched a really short documentary with my dad called Children of the Taliban, and they interviewed people from Al Qaeda. It was really interesting. It was really weird. It was just this guy with like this huge beard walking around talking to people. But he was going around. He interviewed a guy, like one of the leaders from Al Qaeda, who got arrested and like recently released or something, and he's just kind of like chilling in Afghanistan or whatever. And he was asking. He interviewed kids who were like failed suicide bombers, and
wow.
Like they went in and they were old enough to think, well,
Wait, so their like whole body is like all damaged and everything.
right? No, they were failed too. I'm sorry, they failed their mission they went in and they thought they were old enough to think, well, I know if I hit this button or whatever, that I'm gonna die, and I don't want to die, so I'm not gonna do it. And they just decided not to do it, and they got arrested instead because people saw they had a fucking bomb on them right when they ran into the building, and they were sent to reformatory school or whatever to study the Quran and become an Islam and like learn that, because in the Quran it clearly says killing people is bad. Don't kill people. Don't commit suicide. All that shit is bad, right? Like people have to manipulate people into thinking that it's, like all other religions fucking do. And they interviewed some kids, like because they get kids who are young as like 5 years old. And what they tell these 5-year-old kids, 5 to like 12-year-old kids.
Do you want to sit here?
Are you sure? Yeah. They apparently tell these super like little fucking kids, dude, that when they'll put the bomb on their chest and they tell them that the bomb's gonna only blow forward and it's not gonna go backwards. So it's not gonna blow them up. It's only gonna blow up everything forward.
What?
And the people that they do. I'm sorry, that's aside the point I was trying to make though, but they get these kids, they start teaching them when they're like 4 or 5, when we learn the alphabet, that's already, at that point they're already being mentored by these fucking crazy people. Like, they're crazy. And they tell them, like, in America, all of our toilet paper has the Quran on it. All of our toilet paper has, like, the name Allah or God. They tell that like we piss on the Quran all the time, or that like we rip out the pages of the Quran for fun and tear them up and burn them, and that's how we have a good time in America or wherever their enemies live. They grow up thinking that we sit there and we destroy everything that, it's brainwashing. Yeah, dude, that's obviously, and you know what? They don't even give a fuck because that's what they do. And they tell these kids, like, they teach them from that young, like, what you have to do is you have to go and sacrifice yourself to save the name of God. Like, you're doing God a service. You're saving God from the enemy. You're raised to believe that these other people, that your entire purpose in life was to eliminate these people from existing for the name of God. God created you to act as his own tool to eliminate these people from the earth. And they go and they blow themselves up thinking, this is going to be the thing that God wants me to do. This is my purpose. My purpose in life is to only be here for a few years to do that and then go be in paradise with him. And I think until I watched this documentary, I never thought about it to that depth. I've always known, like, they're promised paradise and all that kind of shit, but I never thought about the fact that that's all they know. Like, I never thought about the fact that they don't grow up a regular life and then are convinced otherwise. They grow up thinking, this is the only reason I exist, and this is what I'm here for, and this is what God wants, and I'm going to do this and go immediately to heaven. Like, if I was told when I was...
Little kids, right?
Little kids, dude. 4 or 5. Little fucking kids who are, like, running around. Kids who hear, they're, like, playing... Kids here who, when they go, like, play on... At the playground and shit, their parents have to be there. Otherwise, it's a felony. Like, those are the kids who are going and being taught this shit. I don't know who their parents are. I don't know.
Well, also they could be kidnapped.
Yeah, a lot of them are kidnapped when they're babies and shit. But I mean, just they raise them as tools. Like, they don't even treat their own people like people. You know what I mean? These people are so fucked up that in their heads, these super self-righteous people, they feel like these children are commodities. You know what I mean? They don't see what's wrong with this shit. Or maybe they do, man. And if that's the case, and I feel like if you're an intelligent person, if you're intelligent enough to put a lot of this shit together, you know that what you're doing is not what you're supposed to be doing. Like, I feel like this is, I don't know. It can go in even deeper levels than that. But as far as, like, to go back to the suicide paradox and not to go back into conspiracy theories again, or if we do, we can take a different avenue that direction. Like, they're, like you said, like, the people who commit suicide are the privileged people who you know, somehow are so conditioned to feel safe in this world that the only way out is to kill themselves. And then people in Africa laugh at that because they think, I spent my entire life trying not to die. Why would I let myself die? You know, that goes against my very existence.
Exactly.
Why even exist? Like, you know what I mean? But then there are these people who are taught from the beginning that they were meant to die. That was their entire purpose. Did they talk about that at all in the freaking Alex episode?
Take a shower before we go there.
Yeah. Alright, well, alright, well, have fun. No, they didn't bring that up. It was totally like,
I've heard that, like, some of those kids, or some people in general, they'll strap them up with the bomb and they'll have, like, an extra one just in case they change their mind. They blow them up anyway.
A lot of them, they put the bomb on them, and the kids don't detonate themselves. Somebody with a detonator is standing further away, just waiting for them to go into the building, and then they press the button and blow them up.
holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
So they don't even have a choice.
Disgust, like, I don't know, man. Like,
Some of them don't even tell them, dude. Most of these people don't even know they have bombs on them. They just send them in there. Not most, but a lot of them don't even know they have bombs in them. And they send them over there to go do, you know, whatever, and then they blow them up when they get there. And they're little kids, man. They're just basically what they see them as remote control weapons that they have enough control over that can think on their own, but they can just say, get over there.
I mean, it is kind of guerrilla warfare, you know? It is kind of like, whatever it takes to fucking get Yeah, well, like you said, I mean, the ends justify the means.
And this even it was like a 20-minute episode, and only like 15 minutes episode dealt with this shit. 15 minutes dealt with this shit. But they interviewed one of the guys who was like one of the orchestrators of Al Qaeda or the Taliban. I don't know what the difference is, but it was one of those two organizations. And he asked the guy, he straight up says, so in the Quran it says that killing's not okay. So why do you guys push this? And the guy said, because one of the the leaders in our group, he interpreted it and he said it was okay. And he just left it at that. He's like, I believe in this person, and if they say that they interpreted it and it was okay, then God wants it to be the case.
See, and that's the thing. I mean, because I'm well, you know me. I'm not really for religion. I understand it. I accept it. It's there. I'm not going to be part of it. I don't really endorse it. And when I see people trying to convert me or trying to tell me what truth is by using religion, I like to destroy that. But when I hear something like that, when like, well, this is what the Quran says and this and that, like, it makes me sad to hear that these people aren't using critical thing. And it's not, I mean, the guy could be religious,
Yeah.
The guy could be religious and he really believes in this. And he finds a spirituality in this. But for an asshole to go up to him and say, well, I'm a divine interpreter, and using religion like this, look, I already hate religion on its own. Now add an asshole interpreter that just comes in and uses it for his own benefit, uses it to do his own fucking agenda. It's an affront to humanity. It's an affront to everyone.
There's three people in the religion. There's the 1% who's the leaders.
Yeah.
There's the 98%, the 95%, whatever, who are the followers, the people who they're in the religion because they want to be told what to believe. They want to be told what to do. Because it's easier to be told what's right and what's wrong and to follow another person. And then there's like the 4% who are the people who say, hey, I want to be in on this and be told by the 1% what to tell the other people what to do.
Wait, repeat that?
There's the 1% who start the religion, who are the head of the religion. Using Catholicism as an example, the Vatican, the Pope, he's the 1%, and the archbishops, right?
Okay.
The leaders
They're the
of the
official
leaders.
leaders of the, yeah.
And then there's the congregation. There's the other hundreds of thousands of people who are the religion, the people who give all their money away and their time and everything they believe in, and do everything that they're told to do based on what the religion says is the right thing to do this day to the next day or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the other 4%, the priests and the bishops, like the deacons, the people who decide, I'm going to be a leader in this organization. And they're also followers, but a lot of them, I assume, probably understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think there's also another category in there.
Uh-huh.
The ones that aren't leaders, but they pretend they are. And I don't want to single anybody out, but I will.
But I'm going to. I don't want to, but I have to.
I don't know the name of this guy, but and hopefully somebody can help me. I don't know his name. He's a short, white, chunky, old dude with gaps in his teeth. And he's part of the American Catholic Association, I believe. And he's one of the leaders. He's been made fun of on South Park. He's been interviewed by Stephen Colbert on the Colbert Report. And I've seen him being interviewed on CNN. Talking about how liberal the current pope is, Pope Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Francis.
Pope Frank.
Pope Frank.
I thought you just called him that. That's your name for him.
I just that is
Pope Frank.
Anyway, he's a very ultra conservative follower, and he has nothing to do with the actual religion of Catholicism. But because there's an association of Catholics in the United States, he thinks he is a leader. And he tells people that they're going to hell, that, that
People
people
like
are
evangelicals, people
almost
who,
like that. Yeah, and he goes up and he confronts people. He's almost... I don't know what to explain. How
TV
to
preachers, like that kind of shit, right? People who act as spiritual leaders who are not endorsed by the church, but they take advantage of religious people by pretending they're like the little independently owned churches and shit.
Exactly. Well, he's not. He doesn't have his own church.
He doesn't have a church, but he's a speaker.
He's not a priest or anything like that. He's just I'm a representative of the Catholic Church.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Who? No, you're not. Like you're not a priest.
Who are
you're not
you?
a. Like I don't know if you can look him up. You're probably just texting.
No,
But-
I'm gonna look him up right now.
He's been made fun of lots of times, and he wears glasses too.
So why do people give him so much attention?
That's a good question.
I mean, because there's a bunch of people like that.
well, because there's a bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy.
Fuck, man. Set up, but it was made up for what? To represent the Catholics in the United States. I suppose, you know. I why? You know, like I suppose I can understand that. Oh well, we're Catholics in the United States and we have these interests. But to say that, well, I'm a leader, so I'm gonna tell what Catholics in the United States should do.
And that's
Something different.
That's a really light version of everything that all these other people who start all these branches of their own religions do, like Mormonism and Lutheranism. It's just a smaller version of that, because now that our world is so secular and technology is so advanced, you can't do shit like that. Like, oh, well, this is a new area, so I'm going to start something new. I'm going to do something that's been done over and over again. I'm going to do my own version of it with these new people. There are no more new people. The entire world's here. Everybody knows what everybody's doing. So all you can do is kind of take advantage of who's already there in your own kind of unique way, and you can capitalize on...
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, you can capitalize on taking advantage of people that way.
And you know what's scary is that a lot of people fucking follow them.
Oh yeah, man, because like I said, man, 95% of people like to be told what to do. People like to be told what to believe. It's more comforting. It's just easier, man. By the end of the day, you wake up, you go to work, you come home, you eat, you take care of your family, you pay your goddamn bills. You don't have time to think about what you want to have to think about. The government's going to tell me what to do. Religion's going to tell me what to do. I don't know how to spend my money. I'll do what they tell me to spend my money on.
Tell me what I should be paying. Black Friday is a good
thank
example
you.
of that.
Dude, I saw a picture. I saw a really cool picture. It was a picture of shoes, right? And the price tag on the shoe said $100, and there was no one next to it. And then the same shoes, there was a picture of a price tag. The shoes were there. The price tag said $200, but $200 was crossed out. And it said sale, only $100. And there were a bunch of people there. And it's the same pair of shoes, and you're spending the same money, but they're just telling you that you're saving money because you think that, you know, if I buy these shoes now, it's just the mentality. It's a marketing mentality. It's basic marketing mentality where people think I'm saving money by spending my money on this.
I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, and there was this episode with, I forgot her name. She's from the Young Turks, and she was talking about how consumption has totally taken over in the United States, and how there was an incident where this African American kid, he finds a belt. He goes to a store, a very expensive store, and he finds a belt that's worth, I forgot how much, somewhere around $300.
Right.
And he goes up to to the register, and he's about to pay with a debit card, and the cashier calls the security and says, and pretty much saying like he stole that card. Somehow he stole that card, that he can't afford that card. It's like he's in his teens, I believe.
Yeah.
And he's buying a $300 belt. Obviously, that's racism, right?
Right,
Assuming that a black kid can't afford, a black person can't afford a $300 belt. But what she was pointing out was that looking beyond the racism, what the fuck is a teenager buying a $300 belt for?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of shit is that? You know how
any
many?
age doing buying a $300 belt? A belt isn't even a necessary piece of clothing. It's an accessory.
It is an accessory that you're probably gonna throw away or have to buy a new one in the next year.
Man. People have a bunch of different. I have one belt for all my pants.
I have
Maybe
two belts. I have two belts. One for which one I'm wearing right now, which looks shitty, but you know I wear it with all my jeans and shorts. It does what it's supposed to do. And the other belt is for
a dressy belt
for my dress. Yeah, for my dress clothes, which I usually wear to work.
And it's silly that it's silly that fashion dictates what's dressy and what's not dressy. But I also have like a cloth belt. Like that's like a shitty kind of. Like,
well, I didn't say cloth. All of my belts are leather. Okay.
Yeah, no one gives a shit about your.
Actually,
your
you know what
Costco,
matters? It matters.
Ross.
You know how many
Dollar Tree.
You know how many
belt.
calves died to make my belt?
I made sure at least 6 died. I made sure at least 6 died.
I personally shot one.
I made sure I made sure that the cow of the leather.
Well, there goes that joke.
For the belt I'm wearing. I made sure that he watched all the other cows die before I killed him. So he was tenderized by the death of his brothers before he was killed for my leisure.
Anyway, going back to what Christian said.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because that joke went to shit.
What joke?
No, I think I do agree with you on that. That it's just this whole, regardless of whether you're religious or whether you even like celebrate Thanksgiving, like a lot.
You're going back far. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, going back to 9/11.
I know.
No, like the whole Black Friday just being like for people to spend their money and like the sales and all that stuff, and like I think it's just ridiculous how these corporations are basically kind of like getting rid of Thanksgiving and just making it about the sales.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, before, like, the sales used to start on Friday. Like, that's why it's called Black Friday.
Now it started.
Didn't Christmas start like 2 months ago?
Yeah.
I don't even remember Halloween.
But, I mean, it's just stuff like that where it's like now the sales start at like 6, on Thanksgiving Day. And it's like, well, what? Like, it doesn't make sense.
It's kind of disturbing too, because
It
after
really
year
is.
you hear. I don't know about you. I don't know if you heard about it, but this year there was a I think a security officer that was dragged from, like, he was chasing a guy that I think was a suspect of robbing a store, and he got stuck somehow to the car, and the fucking guy drove off.
What?
And the cop was being dragged by this car, dude, for like a while.
It's
And
fucked
everybody
up
just
because-
fucking looked. Everybody just like, well, fuck it. And they just kept on shopping.
Dude, at this point, it's every year, it's expected for there to be over the top people getting trampled, people getting killed, people getting, like, stampeded.
And I
Because
get
they-
it. And I get it.
Dude, I don't
You know what?
I get it, but it doesn't make sense.
Like, all right. Today, I'm not going to lie, I went to go shop. I went to Macy's
It's Sunday.
today. Well, calm the fuck down, all right?
It's not
Let him
2 o'clock in the morning
Let
in
him
front of
finish.
Best Buy on Friday.
Well, I woke up early, and by early, I mean 7:30. And I got there at 9. It takes me a while. It takes me a while to
So
get...
just use your imagination.
All right. Well, anyway, I got there. We went to Macy's, and honestly, you find some good deals. I'm not gonna lie. I understand why people go there, because they think, oh, this is the perfect time to shop. But honestly, I only bought 4 things.
Why did you go in the first place?
Well, because it's that time where like my mom treats me to
Uh-huh.
like clothes. She's like, well, this is gonna be your Christmas.
Okay.
So I'm like, well, all right.
Oh, so you were with your mom?
Yeah, I was with my mom, and
Okay.
she's like, well, and I don't shop for clothes
Yeah.
the entire year. So this is basically
This is next year's wardrobe.
this is next year.
These are the-
wardrobe.
Four
the two-
things. Those
Oh,
four
I
things.
bought 4 things.
Those 4 things.
It's the
All
two
right.
shirts, the one pair of jeans, and the underwear I'm wearing for the next year.
All right,
You got
like 5
2 belts.
5 things. Well,
I got
this
4.
This belt is gonna last for another 2 years at least.
I got 4 belts and 1 tie.
No. No, I got 5 pieces of article of clothing: a jacket, a really nice
Nice.
jacket, 2 button-up shirts, and 2 jeans.
Cool.
None of which is here.
Right.
Some deal over there. They want me to go shopping on Wednesday, but it's not going to happen. I'm just going to go in there and pick it up.
What?
But yeah, I know it's a weird thing that they did.
It's everything is just kind of like a trying to roundabout experimental scheme.
Exact.
to
It
get you
is.
to
Yeah.
It is.
Oh,
But
if you come
here's the
back,
thing.
you're gonna
Here's the
buy
thing.
again.
I saw this Calvin Klein jacket that I just fell in love with the moment I saw it. I'm like, I must have this. Like, even if my mom doesn't want to get it for me for Christmas, I am going to get it for myself.
Cool.
$98.
That's reasonable. It's a good jacket.
Well, it's not a leather jacket. It's not.
Your leather jacket, real nice leather jackets are like $300.
Anyway, I'm not gonna buy. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna pay for $300 for that.
Yeah,
but
I know,
anyway,
I'm
for
saying.
me, $98 is a lot
Yeah,
for a
it's lot of
jacket.
money. It's a lot of money for anything.
So what I noticed was I was 40% off, which reduced it to about 50 something. And then at the register, she offered me to like put it aside on hold and for me to come back on Wednesday to pick it up for an additional 25% off.
Oh, cool.
So I'm like,
Just
Fuck
to
yeah.
come back on
I'm like,
Wednesday?
yeah.
Fuck yeah, I'll take another.
Well, the reason why
25%.
she wants me to come back on Wednesday, and this is the whole gimmick, is that there's another sale going on that day. And the whole attempt is, well, if you're coming back,
You'll
You're
look
gonna
for
see
other
more stuff on
you're
sale.
going to buy more stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which makes sense. I totally understand. But for me, I'm like, well, I'm broke as fuck. I'm not going to buy anything. So, yeah, give me the 25% off. So, what was
Chris is
originally
gonna come back on Wednesday with a bunch of socks.
just socks.
No, never buy one, get one half.
Calvin
off.
Klein socks, bro.
They match the jacket.
Well, basically, like, what was a $98 jacket now was a $44 jacket.
That's cool, man.
So I lucked out, and I'm like, oh, this is totally... It's a really good jacket.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, you really find good deals.
Yeah.
But realize I only bought 5 stuff. There are people that go on Black Friday early in the morning,
Spent $800.
$800, $1,000, $1,200
Yep.
on a bunch of different stuff. And the whole thing is that, well, you put a sale on one thing and you don't put a sale on everything else. Or you make it look like it's on sale.
Mm-hmm.
And especially Macy's, they make it look like things are constantly on sale, and they're really not. They're just the average
JC
price.
Penney's does that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now it does, now that they got rid of the CEO. The former CEO. Anyway. Because JCPenney, for like a year, they didn't do any sales.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were like going down or something.
They are going down. They brought in a new CEO, which is trying to push the coupon and like sale thing now again, and they're trying to bring people back, but we got to see what happens.
Meh.
Yes, JCPenney's I don't know.
Meh.
It could fall apart, or it could be one of those like underdog stories, you know.
And then, whatever, in like 10 years, we'll be telling our kids, there used to be J.C. Penney. That's where I bought my jeans.
Montgomery Ward.
Woolworths.
Sears used to be like the
Sears
the
and
spot to
Roebucks.
go, like, back
Sears and Roebucks.
Sears and Roebucks. That was the place where I bought clothes. Woolworths.
Mervin's. Do you remember Mervin's then?
Mervin's. Remember Alpha Beta? Let's go down to Alpha Beta to get my groceries.
No, I don't remember that at all.
There's a grocery store.
Nope.
It got bought up by Ralph's.
By Ralph's?
By Ralph's.
You know, I was And this is where the podcast turns boring. When Albertsons got bought out by what is it? Kroger's.
Albertsons got bought up by Kroger's. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is Kroger's.
Vaughn's got bought up by Safeway, right? Vaughn's is a Safeway store.
I thought Safeway got bought up by Vaughn's.
Well, the point is everybody loses.
Yeah.
The point is, ramble, die. It's gamble.
It's
die.
gamble.
But we were rambling.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, I kind of feel like there's something wrong with that. This whole like need of consumption.
Dude, everything we've been talking about, there's been tons of shit wrong with all of it.
This feels like it's a sad podcast.
This is a really sad podcast, man. We don't have Precious here. There's very little offensive jokes.
Well, I mean, all right, let's say something offensive. Blacks.
That's not true.
Portuguese. Dirty Portuguese. You know who's awesome, though? Malaysians, dude. I fucking love people from Malaysia. They have the most attractive women. They have the most attractive children.
What?
The most supple, smooth children I've ever seen.
The most adorable children.
Right?
Those beautiful mouths.
Dude, it's just like, I bet you those fingers are so tasty. Like, soft, salty fingernails.
What about it, Anonymous?
So
what
Anonymous.
Do you think about tasty
You
children?
know what? Talk about the sex trafficking in Malaysia.
I'm just not gonna do it. I'm just not.
Rate it on a scale from 1 to the Philippines.
One
bad
to the
Malaysia.
Philippines.
No,
Philippines being the worst.
I will not be that person.
All right, Africa.
Nope.
The whole city.
Nope.
No.
The whole city.
The whole city of Africa.
Welcome back, Scotland. How do you feel?
Much better. Hot water is a luxury that I don't usually get to use.
All right. Well, now that Scotland's already, are you guys hungry?
Hell yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. All right, guys. This is gonna be where we end the podcast because we're all hungry. We're gonna go eat some Indian food.
India's oven.
Yeah, India's oven. Everybody, we have our blog set up and email set up finally. It's called Another BS Podcast at gmail.com. And our blog is anotherbspodcast.blogspot.com. Google product. You can email us and you can look at all our horrible posts and listen to all our horrible podcasts there.
All our BS stuff.
All our BS stuff. Next time we're gonna have another guest. We're still figuring out who, but we're gonna
Just get used to not knowing from week to week because we have gotten used to not knowing from week to week.
Basically, this is awesome. But I had a lot of fun. How about you guys?
Yeah.
Good times.
It was a little more serious.
Yeah, it was a little bit more serious. I kind of like I like talking about issues like this and talking to you today, Scotland.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I think we should have you on more often.
I agree.
Next time I'll smoke a bowl.
Yeah, next time we'll smoke a bowl and we'll hang out somewhere where we can smoke. But yeah, we'll have more interesting topics next time. This is a wrap.